Hey, everyone out there and rambling about Racing Nation. Matt Beamer here alongside with the crew, Charlie Hercus and Austin Reeves here to bring you the latest and greatest from the world of auto racing. Got a lot to talk about. We got a review Homestead for the Cup Xfinity Truck Series, review COTA for the Formula One race, as well as preview a very pivotal race coming up here in Martinsville this weekend for the Cup Series, as well as the Xfinity Series. And another Formula One race from the Mexican Grand Prix, for the Mexican Grand Prix, I should say. Let's go ahead, get into it. Uh-oh. I messed up there, guys. Okay, here we go.
This is a production of ITM Media.
I'm just messing up all the time. We are here, ladies and gentlemen.
The Hooters girls threw you off.
150, starting off on a bad foot here. Matt Beamer here alongside Charlie Hercus and Austin Reeves here to bring you the latest and greatest from the world of auto racing. I just messed up that intro totally, guys.
Music's
totally
still on.
I'm aware it's still on. I'm fading it out, man. I got to produce here as well. I got a lot going on here, Austin. You have no idea. I mean, you think you do, but you don't.
Hey, I was just helping you out. I wasn't busting your butt. I was going
You were.
music. I was not. I never bust your butt on it.
I don't remember it being on that long. That's the only thing.
I totally messed up the intro. Luckily for us, we finally have someone watching now. If you're joining us, let us know who you are, where you're from, and if this is your first time watching the show. If you're a regular listener, let us know that as well. But yeah, totally. I don't think anybody saw it unless they go back and watch the live stuff and watch it mess up. Oh, well, that stuff happens. It's all part of the fun, I feel. But again, hello, everyone. Matt Beamer here alongside Charlie Hercus, Preston Lood, or not Preston Lood. Preston's not here. But Charlie Hercus, Austin Reeves, going to bring you a lot to break down here this week from Homestead, previewing Martinsville. We got a lot going on here. Again, we're going to be a fun show, I feel, full of information and knowledge and stuff. But first and foremost, gentlemen, how's it going over there for you guys?
It's going good up here. Not a lot going on. Work. Go see the kids every now and then. They're doing good. They're up. The boy's 6'12", almost 7 ounces, and the little girl, she is
7 ounces or 7 pounds?
7 pounds. 7 pounds. Sorry, it's been a long day.
Yeah, that's a big difference. Ooh, but 7 pounds, that's good, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And
When did they
little girl do what now?
Yeah, but talk about your daughter here. How's
She
your daughter?
is 5 pounds and 6 ounces. So she's about a pound and a half behind. I think only thing they have to do to come home is they got to finish every time they get feeds. They got to finish their full bottle. So that's really the only thing we're waiting on. Weight's good, breathing's good. We're just waiting on them to concept the suck, swallow, breathe when they eat, so they don't choke, and then they'll be able to come home.
That's a big one to comprehend there, I feel, before you send them off to somebody else's care. But that's awesome,
If you
man.
spend more time with them, you ought to be able to teach them that.
Oh.
I knew something was coming.
Oh, man, Charlie. That's so harsh, man. You know the
I know.
situation he's in. I mean, that's so messed up.
That's the thing between me and him. We don't care. Like the phrase "don't kick a man." Like the phrase "don't kick a man while he's down." No, we're gonna kick you. Run the truck over you.
I got a story for you too. I already told Carissa on the way home.
Did you get a haircut today?
I got a haircut every morning.
What's the story,
So,
dude?
all right. Everything's going, pretty good with me for the most part. But bypassing me going into Emma here. Emma had a soccer game tonight. All right. Everything's going good at the soccer game. The other team scores a goal.
Okay.
This kid starts getting happy.
The person who scored the goal, right?
Correct.
Naturally. I mean, you score a goal.
Well, this person comes by Emma.
Uh-oh.
Getting happy that they scored a goal. Emma turns around, bows up at him.
Oh, man.
All right.
Okay.
I call her out because I'm trying to set a good example, as a dad and be a good parent.
Right hook.
Yep. Trying to be a good parent.
Leg.
But I'm also proud
All right. Yeah.
At the same time, because she didn't do it to just any person on the other team, she picked the biggest kid on the other team.
The one
This kid's got a solid, like close to a foot on Emma. So she looks up to this kid and just straight up just bows up to him, like chest to chest, like, hey, calm it down, go get back on your side of the field before I drop you. And I see it happen. And I'm like, Emma Grace, we're not going to have that. Either you do it again, I will sit you myself and you won't play the rest of this game. Kind of a learning moment, whatever. I could see that she kind of got in her feelings a little bit. So they get a water break. She refuses to come get water. I make her come get water because I know she was going to get upset. And I talked to her, yada, 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 make her laugh. I was like, baby, you can't do it. Like, don't be that person. Now, if he'd have bowed up at you.
That's what I was just going to say.
Now, I told her, I said, now, if he'd have bowed up at you, you could have bloodied his nose. I wouldn't have cared. I said, your daddy would have had his back and I'd have started drop kicking little kids. I said, your daddy would have had your back, baby.
My.
Hands down. I said, I'd have been proud of you. I said, as long as you ain't the one that throws the first punch, I said, if that kid would have bowed up at you, hey, the gloves are off, sweetie.
And what y'all don't know is when she came to the sideline, the coach asked her, where'd you learn that from? Well, my daddy's pit crew, they're a little out there. So they taught me everything I knew.
Yeah, I caught the first clips of that night at the racetrack too, because Emma's fist was just balled up so tight. She was crying. I mean, she was borderline crying. She was so mad that night too. So, anyway,
sensitivity
so we had a teachable moment tonight. Yeah, we had a teachable moment tonight at the ball game.
That's not good.
She did get upset once she come over there on the sideline, but we calmed her down and I said, look, take a couple sips of water, cool off, go back out there. That kid wound up playing goalie. He come a little too far outside the box to stop the ball. He grabbed the ball as Emma went to kick it. Emma kicked him in the shoulder. And, it is what it is. I was like, good job, Emma.
Was it not? Who knows? It's a finger for a game.
Yep. So, but Emma, well, I happened to see it when it happened. I was like, it was a 51% of me was, hey, let it go. The 49% of me was struggling to be like, Emma Grace, we're not going to have that. So, yeah, it was I'm with them on that one though. Like the whole being happy and be happy that you scored, sure, but it's just like in the NFL and all that nowadays. They take it way too far in these little end zone, celebrations and stuff like that, and it carries over to the little kids in sports nowadays. So, and hey, my baby girl wasn't gonna have it. She was ready to beat down.
I don't blame her 100% for doing that because
I think it just caught her off guard because the kid come right by her and was just happy, and it was right there in her ear. And hey,
well, good
for her. The moment got the best of her, and I will say at least it was the biggest kid on the team that she was ready to go after. So
I could say this: if somebody did that to me when I was playing hockey, scored a goal against our team and came by. Yeah, I got your number, man. I'm going to lay you out. Yeah. Plain and simple. There was this one video I saw once where this hockey player scored a goal and was so happy that he scored the goal that he started hugging on the opposing team. Like, he didn't know it was him. He thought it was his teammate, but he started hugging him. Hey, buddy, we scored. And the guy just straight up punched him in the face. So I don't blame that.
I said it right there in front of her mama. I said, baby, if he'd have done it to you first, bloody his nose. Your daddy had been out there drop kicking youngins with you. I'd have had you back.
I wouldn't have held her back. I wanted to see I would have liked to see what would happen.
I I think Emma might be like her daddy. She might have blacked out and woke up in prison.
You're not going to send the kid to prison.
She'd have woke up in juvie.
She's not going to wake up in juvie. The worst that's going to happen is they kick her
She'd
off.
have woke up in a boys and girls home.
And then she goes viral on YouTube, and then you guys are on Fox News or CNN or something talking about what happened.
We'd have been on Maury.
Wait, for what?
I don't know. We
We'd have been on Steve Harvey's show.
Oh, no.
We got some good competition on going viral. Have y'all heard about the Wisconsin volleyball team?
I heard about.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, we got some tough competition. Like some
Here's-
real tough.
You know, and that's
going to be tough to beat.
yeah.
What's going to be tough to beat, especially on Twitch and everything as well, is these women in the hot tub in bikinis talking about whatever and drinking. I'm like, hey, come hang out with
It's
us.
simple. We let Charlie race naked and let him stream.
I mean,
Game on. Game on.
I think that's the only way we could make a dent in anything.
Look,
Game
guys,
on.
no hands. Woo!
Because there's no way we could beat girls in bikinis.
Guess what I'm driving with?
Oh no! What's up, Tracy? I see you there, buddy.
And left turn. And right turn. And pit road.
Especially in COTA.
So,
Oh man!
no, Carissa said between JC and Emma, somebody's going to have a hard time because if you fight one of them, you're going to have to fight both of them later on in life.
Well, that's a dynamic duo right there. That's friendship right there, if you ask me. But man, everything's going well here. Actually, this coming up weekend, we're going to be in Dothan. We're going to go down and take the baby down there to see Grammy and Pop.
Oh yeah,
yeah, we're going to be there.
Well, holler at me. I got a wedding to go to Saturday, but what day are y'all coming down?
Probably Thursday evening, about 7:00.
Okay.
So we'll definitely hook up, man. I know
I'll be in Dothan Friday morning, so holler at me after.
Maybe we'll get
I'll
breakfast.
holler at you Friday.
Yeah, maybe we'll get breakfast or something. You, me, and Caroline, and Grandma and Grandpa can watch the baby. Yeah, everything's going well here.
Cracker Barrel's got some pretty good mimosas.
Yeah, I think Caroline could have a mimosa or two. I know I could. But yeah, everything's going well here. Work's going well. Got a promotional exam coming up here soon to full-time drive, so wish me luck on that one. But I've been driving off and on for the past 4 years. I think I'll be fine. We'll see. We'll see with that. But I hope everything's going well out there for everybody, whether you're watching us on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube Live, or you're catching up to us on your regular podcast platform. Really do appreciate it. Got an announcement here, though. Just heads up here. We, on our Belly Up page here, we have this guy named Stacy Morgan, who's going to be trying to dabble his hands into editing. So he will be editing this week's podcast for everybody. So the editor for this week, Stacy Morgan, is going to be joining us. But that's about all we got going on here. But you guys ready to get into Hey Man?
Was that a surprise?
I think I'm going to change
that was
my
not a
backdrop
surprise.
every week. So nobody's going to know what my backdrop's going to be every week.
All right. Well, Hooters, not a sponsor yet here at Ramblin' About Racing, but that
Jason, this is the Columbia Hooters, by the way, where y'all live. This wasn't all the girls. There was a few.
He's over here trying to get directions.
Yeah, he's
No,
giving.
he goes east. East.
I will not be going on I-20 to Alabama. If I was going to Talladega, yes, I-20, but not anything. Not going south. Here.
Amanda, don't let Jason drive.
All right, guys. Well, now we get into
What an idiot.
and now we're going to get into Hey Man.
Hey, man. Hey, man.
I guess the first part about Hey Man here that I want to bring up to you guys is this. This is the surprise, by the way. So this is from 2004, and I dug this up, and I transferred it over to digital, and I got it. So my senior year in high school, we had to do a economics project or something like that. We had to make a commercial. And so me being the big NASCAR fan that I am, I made a NASCAR commercial. You guys remember the How Bad Have You Got It commercials back in like the early 2000s?
Yeah.
I don't know if you
all day long.
Yeah. So I for my project made a NASCAR commercial, and my best friend Travis is in there. My sister's in there. My dad didn't trust us to hold the camera. We did this in maybe like an hour, and it's like a, let me see here. It's a just shy of a 3-minute video here, but this is an exclusive for everybody. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, you're not going to be able to hear the audio reaction. Go back and listen to your regular podcast platform, because we can still have the audio reaction here, hopefully, from it. I'm just saying. So here it is. This is the How About If You Got a Video from high school.
Myself a NASCAR fan, but have you got it bad? I do. Do you make your friends and family participate in the fake races that you attend? Hey, come on, okay? Gentlemen, start your engine! Let's go around green, green, green. How's the leak on that? You got a little hot there, turn it down some. Come on, Bob. Cut. White flag, white flag, white. Damn hot there, turn it down some. Keep it under center. Circle flag coming up, circle flag coming up. Coming around the turn, and now wins first place, yeah! Huh. And I wonder why I don't have a girlfriend. NASCAR, how bad have you got it?
All right. Thoughts on that, gentlemen?
I give it a 12 out of 13. Like, that was legit right there.
That was like way before like digital editing. So I had to buy the tape and do everything like that. And we would just, and Charlie, the first like 30 seconds, Charlie was talking. We couldn't unfortunately hear him.
Yeah, I was trying to commentate the whole time.
That's okay. And I don't know. I'm taking that little face palm there is for the video.
I give it a 12 out of 10. I think we all at one time have climbed in our daily driver like you did, like a race car. Is it safe to say? Because I know I was doing it like 8 years old.
we all have.
Absolutely.
The flag looked more like a, hey, you're going a lap down flag, though.
It was.
No, those were the British and Scottish flags that I had.
Definitely lap down.
I didn't have the.
If it was the British flag, it looked like a lap down.
That will be on YouTube, by the way, so everybody can see it. Hopefully, I just don't get made fun of. But
Scottish flag could have been a checker flag. British flag, definitely a lap down.
It doesn't matter.
Listen, if you get made fun of that, then I'm pretty sure some videotapes of me growing up that I'll have to send you, and we can all get made fun of.
Oh, I'll get made fun of.
Your corner exit sucked.
Yeah,
dude, it's a Jeep.
Pushing like a dump truck.
It's a Jeep.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and why you were braking in the middle of the straightaway, I'm not really sure.
Okay, keep in mind, I'm in a residential neighborhood.
And
I couldn't go over 20 or my dad would have yelled at me. I just wouldn't have done that.
20 is just a suggestion. You don't have to go 20. That's just a suggestion.
I haven't showed anybody that since 2004.
I give it a 12 out of 10.
Well, thank you. I thought it was a 12 out of 13.
Yeah,
Well,
but
no,
12 out of 10
13.
is better.
Yeah, 12 out of 10 is better. I just thought of that, Charlie. Thank you. So that was my big surprise.
Hey,
here.
man.
What's
mean-
that?
Hey, man.
Boy, you're older
Hey,
than
man.
that.
There it is. Hey, man.
Someone get this man a cold beverage.
Oh, well, way ahead of you, buddy. I was laughing the whole time. I could just see Charlie there in the screen there just doing this.
I was commenting on your laps and
But I don't know if
everything the whole
I
time.
don't know if you guys heard it. I'm sure you did. I don't know if you did or not. The radio communication, I put in a earpiece and a microphone and everything in there.
Yeah,
The
we
helmet
heard it.
with the walkie-talkie. Yeah.
Nothing about oil temp and engine temp.
Yeah. Okay, that was your big surprise here. I don't know if I want to do this anymore because you guys just don't seem to appreciate it.
I gave you a 12 out of 10.
I know you did. Charlie doesn't seem to. Charlie's above that.
I enjoyed it.
I mean, that thing was made in 2004, so you got to think that was a long time ago.
It was
First thing I said there, the thing is, I remember that red Jeep.
You do? Oh yeah. Yeah, I miss that. Oh man. I regret to this day selling it. 100% regret to this day.
I mean, I think you like to blew it up when you first cranked it up, but hey, I mean, gentlemen, start your
They
engine.
didn't give the oil time to get to the top. Oh gosh.
Blinker fluid ain't cycled through yet.
Uh-uh.
Well, I tell you what, that thing
The
was
starter hadn't even had time to disengage before he hit the gas.
I had to let everybody know it was like boom, you know.
Damn, neighborhood watched and got pissed. We got a bumblebee on the back quarter.
Oh, that was
little Jimmy got his Jeep fired up again. He's tuning it.
Hey, man.
They're throttle tuning his Jeep.
so there you go.
Golly. Wonder why we can't have nice things.
I just brought back so much memories, man.
Somebody let a bunch of damn rednecks move in the neighborhood again.
Integrate.
Cheryl, they're at it again.
Wanda, get out here and watch this shit.
Call it
Look
damn.
at these idiots.
Call
Look at
it
this.
HOA. God,
Wanda.
they're tearing up the flower bed.
What was funny is the first part of the video, that was actually my room with all the NASCAR posters in there. That was it, man. I lived and breathed NASCAR through my entire 4 years of high school. Didn't really care academically. Just wanted to do NASCAR stuff.
Wanda, put the dog up.
Bark. All right. Well, that was our first Hey Man segment. A little bit of a surprise there. And then we get into the first topic of the day, which is Kyle Larson dominating at Homestead, leading 199 laps, sweeping the stages, completely dominating, especially after last week's debacle there in Las Vegas, if you ask me. But not without controversy. That being on pit road against Martin Truex Jr., bumping him and thus, I guess, assisting in a spin out. I wouldn't call it just a straight up dump there on pit road. I think Kyle Larson's a better driver than that. Thoughts on that? Because I think it was a 100% accident.
Yeah.
But a lot of people online, especially the Bubba Wall fan base, were saying, go ahead and suspend him. How dare he do that? But we've seen pit road accidents before like that.
That's just going to be Bubba Wallace fans in general. They want payback for Wallace being suspended for the most part. Look, they're stacked. Nose to tail, nose to tail, nose to tail. Everybody wants every little 16th of an inch they can get on pit road to gain every little bit of position they can get on pit road. Even Truex thought that he got dumped, but admitted at the end of the race that, looking back with the sun shining in their eyes and stuff like that, that it could have been just as much their fault as it could have been Larson's. So, and any type of replay, and the booth did the best job of explaining whenever they showed Chastain entering his box and the way Truex waited so long before he turned instead of blending before he turned to try and enter his box. It was just abnormal. And yes, the sun at that point in the day, the sun's shining straight into everybody's eyes, and you can have a tinted shield all you want to, but Austin knows just as well as I do that sun's shining just right. You can have a dark shield all you want to, but it's going to blind you. I don't care what you do. So, you could put it back on crew chief. You could put it back on spotter. You can do whatever. Somebody could have probably did a better job of trying to count him down. It's like, all right, start blending. There could have been a number of different things. I don't think Larson and Truex have never had any beef with one another to my knowledge. So I don't think Larson did it on purpose by no means. I think it was just a freak thing. And the last place I think Larson would ever try to do that to somebody would have been on pit road by all means.
Right. And you bring up a good point there. And I wanted to ask you guys this. Does this fall on the crew chief or spotter, or is it because it can't be 100% on the driver? We hear it all the time in the spotter communication. You're 10 away, 5-4, and they count them down into the box.
Mm-hmm.
Right here, wheel straight, foot on the brakes, 4 tires or 2 tires or gas only. Go on me, go on the jack. We hear the coordination from the crew chief. I feel like it's more of the spotter crew chief at that point because it looked like he was going to miss his box.
Mm-hmm.
Because he didn't even try to turn in until Larson hit him, and then he was turning. I'm not blaming it on anybody. I think it was just one of those freak accidents. Joe Gibbs Racing, however, wanted something to happen to Kyle Larson. Joe Gibbs was visibly upset about that incident.
It's just racing, like Charlie said. They're so tight. I mean, spotter could have, not counted him down right, but I mean, there's really nothing you can do on a racing incident. But
let me ask you guys this, and because this was a pit road incident, luckily nobody got hit on there as far as Barney Truex Jr.'s pit crew is concerned, or anybody else for that matter. I tell you what, I think it was, I don't know who was pitting right next to Barney Truex Jr., but they were just standing there. I mean, it's amazing the discipline these guys have going over the wall. But is it necessary for them to be nose to tail like that on pit road? To the point where, I mean, could this be blamed a little bit on Kyle Larson, knowing that the situation and the elements were there, sun in his face and everything like that, that, hey, I got to give Martin Truex Jr. in front of me, the 19 car in front of me, a little bit more space than I normally do because of the sun beaming into my eyes. I can't see.
Sure.
But if you
do
space,
that,
he's getting, seconds, like 1 second, 2 seconds.
Well, not only that, I thought Austin was going to say something different there. But if he does that, like if he tries to let off a little bit to give Truex, because he knows Truex is pitting before him, who's to say that Larson doesn't get dumped because the car behind him is right on his butt?
No, I totally understand that, but there has to come down to the driver's perception of the situation at hand. If the sun was in your eyes, it wasn't just in Kyle Larson's eyes, it was in Truex's eyes and Chastain's eyes. Everybody that's coming down pit road at the time, it was in their eyes, driver-wise. Don't you think you would just give a little bit of space?
You think you would, but they don't.
You think you would, but they won't, I feel. I think that
you can't afford to.
They're trying
especially
to
when you're the top two running on the track at that time.
But the way Kyle Larson's car was throughout the day, he had the car to beat. He was on a rail.
Yeah. At the same time, though, clean air is everything with these cars.
It is, but when Kyle Larson was in the back, it took him a while to get up front. But once he he started getting through traffic pretty fast. He passed everybody like they were standing still. He had the car to beat even in dirty air.
But you use up your stuff a lot faster too.
Didn't look like he used up his stuff. It looked like he was just cruising the whole race. He was just on cruise control. I'm not saying you're
I know, but I'm not trying
It's
to
not.
take
It's
Kyle
not
Lar-
programmed in their mind to give up space on pit road.
Yeah, and
When
I'm not
they-
trying
when
to take
they
Kyle
enter-
Larson.
When they
Not
enter
trying-
pit road, they got one job: get into their
Yep.
box as quick as they can,
Yep,
under the
and
speed limit, 4 tires filled, leave like that. That's their mindset. They're not worried
Yep.
about, well, if
And-
I hit him,
not-
I get hit.
right. And I'm not saying, go ahead, Charlie.
Yeah, not trying to take Kyle Larson's side either. Just as much as I'm not trying to pin it on Truex. And like I said, I think it's just a freak accident, all in all, and nobody wants to take fault. No more than anybody wants to point fingers in that situation. By all means, I don't think. But in Larson's situation, sure, he may have had the fastest car and he may have been able to get through traffic and get back to the front, but nobody wants to use their stuff up to get back to the front, whenever he can just start out front, if at all possible, or start closer to the front and have less cars to work through to get out front, if that makes sense.
No, it makes sense.
So, and that's the mindset that everybody's going into, especially coming down pit road. Like, hey, let's get down pit road quicker, get our tires as fast as possible, get out our box, gain as many positions as possible, so we have less cars to work through and not use up our tires, because tires are everything, especially at tracks like Homestead. And that way we don't have to use them working through traffic.
It almost seems like to me the easy fix for this situation is NASCAR to build a giant billboard there to block the sun, to prevent this from happening again, or at least to take away the excuse of the sun was in my eyes again. Because there's bumping on pit road all the time. I see it just about every week.
Yep.
When cars come in pits.
But I don't like that idea, just for the fact of that's part of racing. Because you're going to go to different tracks and the sun's always going to play a factor. Just like even at the track up the road, depending on what time of the day you practice or what time of the day you got to qualify, you sail off into turn 3, you can't see a dang thing.
I think you're better off driving with your eyes closed.
Yep. You just better know and have your stuff down pat and have a feel for the track of this is my spot where I let off, because you can't see. So I think it just plays like these guys are supposed to be the best of the best. And as far as stock car racing goes, and it was just one of them moments. And I hate it for Truex, because he probably had the only other car out there that could compete with Larson.
Yeah,
and that kind of took him out of the running for it. And I'm not going to say he had the short run car that could compete with Larson, but if it went over probably 15 laps, 10 to 15 laps, I don't know that he would have had the car that could have won it. But either way, it would have been fun to see if it wasn't for that fiasco on pit road.
It would have been. And I feel bad for Martin Truex Jr., who's been struggling all year.
It's been a bad year.
It's been a year to forget for not only Martin Truex Jr., but I feel like all of the Joe Gibbs organization. With the whole thing with Kyle Busch leaving Joe Gibbs here at the end of the year, and that whole contract negotiation, Joe in the back and forth between that, Martin Truex Jr. not performing up to par, Hamlin being by far the team captain there, the banner bearer, the standard bearer, I should say, of Joe Gibbs Racing, and he's focused on other things with his team and stuff. And then you got the relatively young kid in Christopher Bell, who's just been having awful luck in the playoffs.
Thanks to Bubba Wallace.
Yeah, well, thanks to Bubba Wallace, and you could say him not being in position. He had a chance to win just like anybody else. I feel it's just one of those things. I think that 2022 is going to be a year that Joe Gibbs wants to forget. They're not the A organization they were a year ago, 2 years ago. They're now a C organization just based on their performance on the track.
Yeah, I agree. Which I'll talk about Gibbs whenever we go into Martinsville too. So preview.
All right. And now we're going to switch over here to Formula One. And I don't know. I think you guys at least caught the highlights of the Formula One race there from Circuit of the Americas this past Sunday.
I didn't. I was fooling with go-karts all weekend.
All right. There was this incident on the track between Lance Stroll and Fernando Alonso after following a safety car, where it looked like they were coming off of a turn, going down a pretty long straightaway. Alonso had the run. Stroll went to block and just appeared to be slow. Fernando had a good run on him.
On the initial start?
It was midway through the race.
The initial start was horrible.
But yeah, the initial start was horrible for Carlos Sainz. I feel so bad for Ferrari in that situation, especially Carlos Sainz. It just handed the victory, I feel, to Verstappen, but I think Verstappen would have won regardless. But the Alonso incident, Stroll merged over ever so slightly to the left, causing the right front of Alonso's car to hit Stroll's left rear, sending him in kind of a pitched up fashion. And I could say he didn't go where he went airborne on his front, but he landed and continued on and ended up with a horrible finish there in that race, but finished, I believe, if I'm not mistaken here. Let me see here. But the whole point of here I want to get to is blocking on the racetrack, especially in open wheel cars. Blocking happens in every form of motorsports. I don't care if you're on dirt, asphalt, road course, or oval. Blocking happens. Should blocking be limited to one move? I know Formula One has it to where you can only make one move to block, and that's it. You can't just swerve back and forth and prevent anybody from trying to get by or defending a position aggressively. But my question is this: blocking on racetracks, whether it's whatever type of form of motorsports you have, should it be put into consideration as far as penalties? Should you cause an accident? Or should it just be considered a racing incident?
I've always looked at blocking as you really shouldn't be blocking unless it's 5 to go. If you're blocking like stage 1 or stage 2, there's really no need to block unless you're fighting for stage points. I get it, but don't come from the top groove all the way down to the bottom groove just to throw, or vice versa, from the bottom to the top just to throw a block. That's when you get your stuff tore up. And my theory is if you're blocking and the car behind you gives you 2 bumps, the third one he's fixing to dump you. So it's either move or be moved. Is the way I look at it.
Right. Because when it was in regular speed, it happened so fast. I don't think Alonso had time to react. He had such a run on Stroll. Stroll reacted, threw the block. To me, he threw the block. Caused Fernando to have an accident, and it could have been a very bad situation there at COTA. On the other hand, I'm with you. And when you're talking stock cars, you got that little buffer zone, I feel, with the bumper. It isn't going to be, you're not going to tear up as much equipment as you would like in a Formula One race car or Indy car with the open wheel setup. So you got that bumper to kind of protect the tires there in the equipment. I just feel like blocking, it's good and it's bad at the same time. But I'm kind of with you, Austin. With 5 to go, yeah, block that position as much as you can, especially if it is for a win. And if the guy's faster than you, make him earn it. That's kind of on me. That's kind of what I saw here. And did you guys notice anything from this past weekend that, whether it's in Truck Xfinity Cup or Formula One, that kind of brought stuff to your attention?
Not so much
Hunter,
as far as
John. Oh, go ahead.
No, you can go ahead with John Hunter.
John Hunter Nemechek, kind of driving Bubba's car better than Bubba drives it.
Yeah, although he did have a spin there.
Yeah, once he got stuck back in traffic, it was kind of
He was running good. He
over with.
was running in the 4th position there when he spun off of turn 2. And after that, he just could not recover. Ended up finishing 27th in that race.
I cringed when I saw him spin out and then go backwards towards the wall, because that's the hit that's been taking these drivers out. So I kind of turned my head when I saw him spinning back towards the wall. But man, he did pretty good first time in that car. He was fastest first to last practice, and then he qualified in the top 10. So not too bad of a debut for him.
I wouldn't say it was the best debut. Obviously, he wanted to probably do better than he did. But the fact that he did all right, I'd say all right. It was okay. I mean, I wanted him to do better than Bubba. I think a lot of people wanted to see him do better than Bubba did during his initial race, but that's very tough ask for anybody here. But yeah.
That and the broadcast crew, every time they saw the 45 car, well, Bubba's on a 1-race suspension. I think I heard that 102 times.
Yeah, the pre-race was full Bubba talk. The race was full Bubba talk. It's like they couldn't.
They got to fit NASCAR's golden boy in somewhere.
They couldn't just focus on the action on the track.
Anybody that thinks Chase Elliott is the golden boy in NASCAR is crazy.
I 100%.
Well, you're batshit crazy.
I'm 100% think Chase Elliott. Okay, now this is going to be a debate here. Yeah,
rabbit hole.
Yeah, rabbit hole. I think Chase.
I mean, the guy was literally not even in the race, and that's all they talked about.
So if Chase Elliott was not in the race, they wouldn't talk once about Chase Elliott.
No, he's white.
No, there's no way, man. If Chase Elliott did not make the race, whether through injury or suspension, they would not.
He's white and he doesn't drive a Toyota.
They would talk about Chase Elliott the whole time.
I don't know. Charlie's got 2 pretty good points right there.
Charlie has no leg to stand on in this.
I got
one.
2 legs, 3 if it's not
a whole day. Give me a break. Bubba Wallace.
Speaking of cold, it must be cold in your shop because your mic's awfully short.
Oh no, I bought a new mic.
You need to put a blanket on that thing, warming it up.
First of all, it's fine, okay? It's a new pod mic.
Looks like me when I walk outside in the morning, let dogs out. Whoa, it's cold.
Don't make fun of my microphone. Don't make fun of my setup, okay? First,
wow.
You're deflecting the issue here. We're talking about Chase Elliott.
There's no issue.
There is an issue.
Right.
No, you're not.
If you're watching this, comment and tell me I'm wrong.
Go ahead. Okay. That didn't answer our question there from Jason, but it's okay.
I mean,
when's the last time we saw Chevrolet commercials during a NASCAR race?
When was the last time you seen any good commercials besides Toyota and a NASCAR race? Just because
point proven. Toyota commercials.
I saw Joe Gibbs. I didn't see anything about Bubba Wallace during that whole race.
You didn't have to. They talked about him during the race.
Yeah, they did. But if Chase Elliott would have been suspended or injured, they would have talked about him as well.
Would they, though?
Yeah, they would have.
We will never know. Because you want to know why?
Because Chase Elliott
don't purposely wreck people during a race.
Man, he did squeeze Hamlin in the fence at Phoenix a couple years ago after he got dumped in Martinsville, but that's just hard racing.
I would agree with that one. That was a crazy situation right there. Totally different. I think.
Why do I always got to be in the middle of y'all two when y'all argue?
We're not arguing.
That's my position. When y'all start arguing, I got to play Matt's side. I got to play Charlie's side. Golly.
Well, I agree. I think he was talked about way too much, especially right on the parade laps, on the pace laps. They were talking about every.
I'm surprised they didn't have a cardboard figure of Wallace riding around in the back of a truck.
Well, I remember in the parade laps, in the warm up laps there prior to the green flag, the initial start, they talked about Kyle Larson and how he was affected by Bubba Wallace this past week, and they were talking about John Hunter Nemechek and how he has replaced Bubba Wallace for this race.
Larson said, "I better win one before I get wrecked again."
Then they talked about Christopher Bell, who was affected, an innocent bystander in that whole incident right there.
Bell still say I still got stage fright.
Yeah, Bell was in a very sticky situation. We'll get to that in our Martinsville preview here, but they did talk about Bubba Wallace a lot. And oh well, you can look at it either way. Bubba Wallace is definitely a draw for NASCAR. So is Chase Elliott. I think Chase Elliott's more of a draw, obviously. But I think we've had this discussion. We're going to beat this discussion to the ground here. Whether Chase Elliott or Bubba Wallace. Wait a minute. Wait, I know who could fix this. And it doesn't have to be Chase Elliott or Bubba Wallace there, Austin. Who would you consider to be NASCAR's golden child?
What are the golden child rules and stipulations?
They could get away with murder.
Bubba Wallace.
I think the ultimate golden child for NASCAR is Dale Earnhardt Jr.
You don't race no more.
Yeah, I know, but he still has
He sits in a booth and calls a race.
Yeah, he does, but
you got a problem. You got a problem with Chevrolet drivers.
No.
And that guy literally does a lot for the sport.
A lot. Didn't get North Wilkesboro back on the map, but did a lot of work there to get it back on the map.
We had North Wilkesboro on the show. Did we not contribute to that?
That guy had boots on the ground though, too. Like, I'm not saying we didn't contribute, but none of us stepped foot on the speedway and helped out either.
It's true. I don't know. That was an unfair plug there at Dale Earnhardt Jr. I'm sorry.
That was a shot in the wind, and Matt was willing to take it.
Yeah, he was. He said,
whoever it hits, it hits.
Yeah,
he's got a little spin dial on his phone. He can just match it. Whatever name pops up, I'm gonna say Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Matt went dove hunting with a 50 cal.
What doves? No, Dale Jr. is a good ambassador for the sport. I just like cheering against him driving, just like Chase Elliott. I'm sure he's a great person. I'd have a beer with him, but I'm still going to root for him against him.
I spoke to him person to person. He is a pretty cool guy to talk to.
When he was about, what do you call him, knee high to a puddle duck?
Yeah, knee high to a grasshopper.
Yeah, I would totally have a drink with Chase Elliott. Am I going to cheer for him Sunday? Absolutely not.
No, because there was like 30,000 or how many people were at Talladega cheering for the number 9 car, and Matt's over here, boo, boo.
Yeah. Luckily, I made it out of there in one piece. That's just what I'm saying. Anyway, we're going down a rabbit hole here. Yeah, they talked about Bubba Wallace, but anything else? I got one more thing to bring up here before we get into Martinsville, unless you guys have anything else.
You can't say anything else and then say, I got one more thing. You can't answer your own question. You're supposed to say, one more thing, say it, and then by anything else after you do it.
They always told us in school to answer a question with a question if you don't know the answer to the question. So answer the question with a question.
You know, I would love to have Charlie just run the show once and see how just fast it sinks. Just sink faster than the Titanic.
Absolutely not.
It would. And then edit and then do everything.
I would have saved Jack.
Okay. All right. One more thing here. I want to get you guys' opinion on.
I mean, the lifeboat was right there.
The golden child, according to Jason here, Denny Hamlin. Interesting.
Not a bad choice.
Would you look at that? Another Toyota driver. Man.
There's a trend here.
Toyota.
There's a trend
driver.
here.
Huh.
That's interesting. Okay. Denny Hamlin, the golden child for NASCAR. I don't think so, but I like Denny Hamlin. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Okay. This last thing before we get into our race reviews, race previews. Tony Stewart.
He did abuse his wife and get away with it.
He's not married. I think it's his girlfriend.
Because his wife left him.
Okay, it doesn't matter. NHRA debut for Tony Stewart coming up here this weekend in Las Vegas. Will that bring more viewers to NHRA? Will you guys be tuning in to watch Tony Stewart race drag NHRA this weekend?
I grew up going straight. down a drag strip, and I don't even watch it no more. So I more than likely won't tune into it.
Okay.
I'll probably just watch the highlight videos on Facebook when it rolls around.
It will be a top alcohol dragster, whatever that is.
Top alcohol dragster.
That's what it says. He'll be racing a top alcohol dragster.
I know you said whatever
The
that
mic
is.
in his headset's probably a little longer than yours.
Okay.
It's basically like the big top field cars, just top alcohol, a little slower, same thing, just a little bit slower.
Okay. Well, he'll be making his debut there this weekend. It should be fun to watch if you were going to watch it.
It'll probably bring a few more viewers than what they normally get.
Right.
Being that it's Tony Stewart and that he owns, a couple NHRA teams. So it'll probably get a few more views than it normally does. It would probably be fun to watch, see how he does.
It would be.
So it's a lot
depending
different.
on yes. I guess depending on what time it comes on, be depending on whether I'm able to actually catch it.
Well, there's information from Jason Reeves here. He bought the best top alcohol dragster in the country. The top ride. So
Money can buy anything.
Money can buy anything. All right, but that was our hey man. Do you guys have anything else before we get into our race reviews, race previews?
We're gonna cover our Richmond race from VRL, or we're gonna do that at the end of the show.
Yeah.
We'll cover that.
Diversity can get you the best ride of everything too.
We'll cover that right now, unless you guys have anything else for hey man.
I mean, there was a couple of hey mans during the race, but
All right, we'll talk about the VRL race here before we get into everything else. But anything else for hey man, guys?
no, sir.
All right. Well, that was hey man, and now we're gonna get into our race reviews and race previews coming up here for this week and in this past weekend's races. Starting off with the VRL League from Richmond. Unfortunately, scheduling conflicts prevented me from participating in that race, and I will not be participating this week's race at COTA due to work. So I think I'm ineligible at that point for a championship. So I'll be racing, I think, hopefully part-time here, should the schedule allow it. The problem is my wife has choir practice Wednesday, and we don't want to take the kid out at night. And there's no harm there, just the scheduling conflict.
Should get like a really hot 25-year-old babysitter.
You're going down a rabbit hole I don't even want to go down with you. There. No.
Why she gotta be hot? Why can't it be just a 25-year-old babysitter? Why she gotta be hot?
No,
Let
Charlie.
me guess. You want her to have blonde hair and blue eyes too. And
I tell you what,
6 foot tall.
Charlie.
Nah.
When Caroline and I see you, you can answer that for
Okay.
that one.
Well, Friday I'll ask her.
Oh, you just
Caroline,
messed
why
up.
can't you just get
you
Matt?
shouldn't even
Oh.
say nothing, man. You
Oh.
just like here's the door. You just flung it
I
open.
get
and
about
slung it off
6
the hinges.
mimosas in.
Oh,
I'll bring it up.
you won't bring it up sober.
I'll bring it up sober. I don't care.
Caroline will whoop you, dude. Just whoop you. Anyway, VRL race from Richmond, guys. Gosh, I shouldn't even bring up my personal life here sometimes, but
You're gonna learn one day.
I'll learn eventually. VRL race from Richmond, guys. Crazy race there, just based on what I saw. I listened to you guys' Discord and watched it on YouTube there with AAA Broadcasting. Thoughts on it? Because it was a bit more chaotic than Texas, obviously.
You want to go first? You want me to
Charlie
go first?
Hercus for second race this year got DQ'd for not a freaking thing that he done wrong. Just running his thing, doing his thing, minding his business. 74 dive bombed it off in there once. Some freaking retard from wherever he is in the freaking country. Sorry for the R word, but I'm pretty sure
We
that
got a new
he's-
editor. It'll be all right.
Yeah. He can substitute that word in there. I'm gonna make his job a little bit challenging this week. He can substitute that word for something else. But
Just
he
move
just
on.
dive bombed it off in there and decided he was going to boot me. Hit the inside wall with the nose of the truck, saved it somehow or another. I rode around for like 20 laps with one incident point left to go before I was DQ'd and got caught up in once again somebody else's crap and wound up with like 28 of 25 incident points. So needless to say, I waited for the race report to come out, and of course the 74 wasn't even on there. I guess because I saved the truck. I guess next time, anytime somebody boots me, I'm just going to spin it out and make sure I collect half, if not 3/4 of the field with me. So that way, whoever dumps me gets points deducted, especially for that ignorant piece of crap. And
words.
yeah, better choice of words. I thought about it for a second.
Learning moment.
Yep. Learning moment for sure. We've had a few of those tonight in the Hercus family.
Charlie will be attending sensitivity training after
Absolutely
this.
not. So, anyway, I sent a very, very long message to the VRL committee, race committee again.
Keyword again.
Again.
Yep. Didn't really like my response I got again. So, needless to say, there are no incidents in COTA, and I'm not really racing for points. So, retaliation? Possibly.
Oh boy.
So, if I can get the 74's bumper, possibly send it in for a ride in the gravel pit.
I mean,
We'll see.
it's a road course. All you gotta say is, I downshifted or chattered the rear tire. I don't know.
Just make sure you don't stream it and they don't listen to this week's episode.
Yeah. Oh,
I'll make sure I say,
I'm dumping him.
Yeah, I know.
Yep. So that's pretty much how that went. Austin, how'd your race go? I think you had a pretty good one, didn't you? Up until there at the end.
Yeah, I had a pretty decent run. Lap 1, turn 4 had a caution. They stacked the field. I went down pit road, which put me to the rear. Didn't drive up through the field, but I was making the moves I had to make to go through the field. Didn't really burn the tires up. That's the biggest thing I struggle with this virtual stuff. Because me and Charlie run 25 laps at a track, not 200 laps. So saving the tires is not really our bread and butter, but slowly learning. Stayed in the top 15 most of the race. I think I saved a set with 50 to go, came down and took them. And then,
I got caught out by Carl, too.
That's the boss right there.
Carl runs the Cup Light Series at the track.
Oh. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Oh boy.
Uh-oh.
Oh boy.
Man.
Took my last set, was just making the moves I had to make. Had a decent truck. I could run the top, the bottom, really anywhere. Then again, 5 to go, fixing to crack off a top 5, and old dude drove it in 3 car lengths too deep, washed up the track, took me and his teammate out. Needless to say, Charlie heard me. I wasn't very happy because it's second race I've had a decent truck fixing to bust off a top 5, and if you finish top 5 in this class, you're really doing something because a lot of these trucks are fast, good drivers, and it
which brings me
off.
And it's not so much good drivers. It's a lot of these guys have a very, very high I rating, and I hate to tell you, in a league, I rating shouldn't mean crap, but it does. And anybody says that it doesn't are full of crap.
So, yeah, it's true. If you have a good I rating, you're running consistently, you're finishing in the top 5, you're doing well, you're doing exactly what you need to do. Needless to say, you're spending a lot more time on there than maybe spending time with your family.
Yeah. You sit in a basement at your mom's house.
I mean, ever since Caroline and we had the baby, iRacing has gone way down on the priority list. And I would play it. I know when I was home alone, when she was at work, when I was on my 48 off, I would just play it for a few hours. And yeah, I mean, those days are gone, long gone. Get ready, Austin. Those days will be gone for you as well here shortly. But oh well, it is what it is, guys. VRL race this week from COTA. Make sure to subscribe to AAA Broadcasting on YouTube for the latest on that one. Again, I will not be participating in that. And follow RAR or Rambling About Racing Motorsports at Rambling About Racing Rambling RAR Motorsports on Twitter for the latest updates on that one. Thank you, Charlie. Heading into Las Vegas this past weekend, we've got 3 different winners here. Ty Majeski winning it in the Truck Series from Homestead. I'm sorry. Ty Majeski winning it in Homestead in the Truck Series. Noah Gragson in the Xfinity Series and Kyle Larson in the Cup Series. Definitely not the racing I was looking forward to. And I should have asked this on Heyman here, because a lot of negative comments, especially following the Cup race and the dominance that Kyle Larson had. Let me ask you guys this, and ask everybody out there watching or listening. Does a dominant race equal a boring race?
Not really, because sometimes yes, when you lap all the way up to like 10th place, maybe. But they're still racing throughout the field. I didn't think none of the races were boring. It does suck because Larson and Gregson had like a 5 to 10 second lead, whichever one it was.
Yeah,
they were. I don't know if it was just that good of a car or clean air made the difference, but they definitely put on a clinic this weekend.
But that track also suits both of their driving styles. That's not the first time that neither one of them has been out. That's been Gregson's race to lose multiple times down there, and he's lost it every time until this weekend. Larson has been good at that track and had a car to absolutely win with this weekend. So he got it done, and he got it done in a dominant fashion. So it is what it is. Sure, did it make for some maybe boring moments? Maybe. But like Austin said, there was still racing throughout the field, especially when it come to some of the other playoff drivers trying to make positions, trying to get some stage points and stuff like that. For instance, right now, Byron's in, Hamlin's out. So we'll see what happens going into Martinsville, especially since Byron won that race in the spring and Hamlin finished horrible. So,
yep. And this is going to be interesting to see if we get more into that on our Martinsville preview. A dominating race isn't necessarily a boring race, like you guys said. There's a lot of driving in the back. AJ Allmendinger and Ross Chastain had a great battle going up there. Even when racing each other, was catching Kyle Larson there, but then their tires fell off faster than Larson. Larson was just hitting his marks. Larson did great all day, did a really good job. Deserved that win. So did Gregson, so did Ty Majeski. I don't know. It's just something about, I think it was racing during the day that, I'd rather watch Homestead at night, Vice during the day. I think I'm more used to watching that particular setup. Not that it was a bad race, but it was just kind of like, it wasn't the best. It wasn't the worst I've seen all year.
Maybe a Homestead that goes from day to night.
Maybe that. Maybe they should have delayed it to maybe like a 5 o'clock start time. I don't know. But maybe they'll change that next year. We'll have to wait and see on that one. And then, of course, Max Verstappen winning at COTA. No surprise there. Red Bull securing up their first championship, a Constructors' Championship in a long time. I expect nothing more than the same throughout the rest of the year.
Didn't he set a record as far as wins in the season?
He tied the race record for.
And he's still got a few races to actually beat it.
And the number of races was 13. He tied that. And now he's going after race win 14, I believe it is, obviously.
No doubt he'll probably get that.
Surpassing Michael Schumacher and Lewis Hamilton, by far the two of the greatest drivers Formula One has ever seen in its history, in a 75-year plus history of that sport. Congrats. He earned it, but it's just boring to watch now.
Yep.
Going into Martinsville this weekend, we got the Xfinity and Cup Series racing at Martinsville. Big race for them, big playoff implications. The round of 8 ends at Martinsville this weekend for the Xfinity and Cup Series. We're going to talk about the Cup Series more so because we got Joey Logano already punching his ticket to Phoenix to race for a championship after his win in Las Vegas. Ross Chastain second, Chase Elliott third, William Byron fourth, +5 over Denny Hamlin, who is 5 off that fourth place spot. Ryan Blaney -18, and Christopher Bell, Chase Briscoe in a must-win situation going into Martinsville, with Christopher Bell having a -33 points behind the cut line and Chase Briscoe 44 points behind the cut line. What do you? I expect to see a different race in the springtime because it's going to be a little warmer. I think everybody's figuring out the track now, but now the drivers, especially a Chase Briscoe and a Christopher Bell, in it to win it. They have to win, or they have to have something crazy happen to Ross Chastain. Highly unlikely. Chase Elliott. It could happen. It could happen to where Ross Chastain, William Byron, and Chase Elliott all have SUs, and then, but still, that leaves 3 spots left for 7 people.
I don't think Byron and Elliott have issues. But being that Hamlin's on the outside looking in, and Austin knows where I'm going from this with this, obviously, and he has his little list. And Chastain is, he finished 5th in there in the spring, 4th or 5th in there in the spring. I could see him, this track being the track, just like in past years. This is the track where he uses the nose. If he gets to him, moves him up, possibly bends a control arm, something like that. The new rule is if the control arm's bent, you can't sit on pit road and try to repair it in 10 minutes. You have to go to the garage and you're done. So, which inevitably possibly moves Ross Chastain out of the playoffs.
Well, here's the crazy thing here. I'm pulling up the spring results here. William Byron won the spring race. Chastain finished 5th. Blaney finished 4th. Briscoe finished 9th. Elliott 10th. And I'm still going down trying to find Christopher Bell 20th.
26th or 27th?
Christopher Bell 20th. Denny Hamlin 28th.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. I just don't see.
I see Hamlin advancing because I think he will overcome these adversities. Now, it's going to be tough because I think Chastain advances and I think Byron's out. I would be surprised if Elliott's out, even though all the crap I talked about him earlier in the show. I'll be surprised to see Chase Elliott out. But I think Hamlin bumps out Byron. Of course, we could see a Christopher Bell win. We could see a Chase Briscoe win. Anything could happen here. I think it's going to be a more interesting race than the spring race was at Martinsville.
I don't think Briscoe and Bell are worried about the first 2 stages as far as getting stage points. I think they're going to set. They're going to have a strategy for stage 3 and stage 3 only to be there at the end. I don't know if we're putting money on Chastain to take Hamlin out first or Hamlin to take Chastain out first.
I think it's going to be
about it,
right.
But
yeah, Chastain is in a spot now where he's in as long as he plays it safe. Hamlin, however, is in a position where if he's not in, I think it makes sure Chastain doesn't make it in as well.
And if I'm Chastain and I know I'm sitting second, he's sitting second in the points right now, isn't he?
Correct.
And I see that 11 in my rearview mirror, I'm giving him room. I'm washing up the track. I'm going to let him go by.
You have to.
Yep.
Because if you don't, you're gonna go into the wall backwards.
If Denny Hamlin is not in the Final Four here at Phoenix and Ross Chastain is, Ross Chastain doesn't win that championship if Chase Elliott could help it.
Chase Elliott or Denny Hamlin can help it.
Sorry, if Denny Hamlin is not in the Final Four and Ross Chastain is, Hamlin does not let Chastain win that championship. However, if Hamlin is in the Final Four with Ross Chastain, anything could happen.
It could, but I don't think they would be too worried about taking each other out, because if I were to take you out, then we're both done. Vice versa, me only being done, you only being done. Now, if it's coming down to 2 to go, 1 to go, and you're in front, or they're in 1-2, then it'll get dicey for sure.
It will.
Because I think Chastain's in the spot, and they've brought Trackhouse from a long way, so I think Chastain will do whatever he has to do to get a championship.
Yeah, I mean, we got just under 800 laps of racing left in the 2022 season. Anything can happen. A lot can happen. A lot's going to happen in Martinsville. That's what I see there in the Cup Series. As far as the Xfinity Series go, a little tighter right there because you got Noah Gragson and Josh Berry both advancing to the Final Four there. Ty Gibbs and A.J. Allmendinger right there. Ty Gibbs with a 30-point advantage over the cut line, and A.J. Allmendinger with a +5, with Justin Allgaier -5, Austin Hill -7, Sam Mayer -28, and Brandon Jones -38. Brandon Jones, Sam Mayer must win, but we've seen Sam Mayer up there in the spring race at Martinsville. Don't count him out. But Austin Hill, but my biggest surprise is A.J. Allmendinger. I'm not really worried about him, but Justin Allgaier might bounce him. But then we might also get a winner. You never know. I think Ty Gibbs is pretty safe unless he goes out in the first turn in the first lap. Then he has really nothing to worry about.
Yeah, I think he had to get taken out pretty early on in the race to be worried about not advancing to the Final Four.
It should be interesting to see both races here this week, and going to go ahead and give you to them, and then go ahead and give you our race picks here for the Martinsville race for the Xfinity Cup Series. Saturday, October 29th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on NBC is the Xfinity race from Martinsville. The Cup race from Martinsville will be at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on NBC. October 30th, right before Halloween, as well as on October 30th for the Mexican Grand Prix, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on ESPN. That's going to collide a little with the Cup Series race, just overlapping just a little bit, but should still be a fun race to watch. Gentlemen, race winners for the Xfinity Cup and Formula One race there. We're going to start off with Austin.
Xfinity, I'm going to go with Sam Mayer. He wins his way in. Dang. Hey, that's why you pick 3 or 4 drivers.
That's true, Charlie.
Sam Mayer for Xfinity. He wins himself into the Final Four at Phoenix. Cup, I'm going to say Blaney wins his way in. Wins it in. And then we got F1.
And at Formula One.
I'm going to go with Verstappen's teammate.
Okay. Oh, Sergio Perez.
Yeah.
Got him.
Got him.
You almost got me there.
Got him.
I almost was about to say low-hanging fruit, but you got me there.
Yeah. Tired of getting picked on for picking the winner. I mean, you say at the beginning, you say winners for the race. I am picking the winner for the race.
You are.
And then I pick the winner. Oh, low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, go on, Charlie. Gosh, dog, please just get this get this off me. Go, Charlie.
You go first.
Xfinity Allgaier Cup race Bell Formula One Hamilton.
Okay. Killed by F1 pick. All right. Cup B.U.R.N. He repeats at Martinsville. Xfinity Barry. Junior Motorsports loaded weekend.
It is.
So F1.
Carl is saying here it will be a wreck fest this weekend for the Cup series for the Cup race. So if you'll need to avoid the wrecks, you will see some paybacks at this race. Keep someone from going to the Final Four.
I'll agree.
I think so as well.
Oh yeah.
F1.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll go with the low hanging fruit. He gets his 14th. Verstappen.
Verstappen it is there, Charlie. So Red Bull 1-2 for Charlie
I'll
and
pick that
Austin
low hanging.
right there. And for the first time in a while, I think I really meant it when I said Lewis Hamilton, defending race champion. We'll have to wait and see on that one. I'm not holding my breath, though. I think Verstappen gets it. I think Red Bull gets it done there. But, gentlemen, anything else before we get into our final thoughts here? All right, let's get into our final thoughts.
White flag, white flag. White flag, white flag. White flag. 1 lap to go. 1 lap, Raider.
Final thoughts here on this week's episode of Rambling About Racing. If you stayed along this long through the everything that was thrown at us, making fun of, and everybody saying whatever, if you made it to this point, I appreciate it. Thank you. Make sure to leave us a rating on your podcast platform and subscribe to us on all major podcast or on all major social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all that good stuff, guys. And there you go. Busting my chops again. Run the show one time and you'll see what I go
I'm
through.
just saying, what busted your chops? Say, but
I heard the snickering. I didn't appreciate that.
boy, get your feelings hurt so easily.
Oh my goodness,
You're
Charlie.
not having a stroke, are you?
Yeah.
No, you know if I'm having a stroke.
Okay. I'm just checking on you.
Anyway, final thoughts here in this week's episode of Rambling About Racing. Thanks for everybody tuning in to us. Especially if you're here live watching us right now, really do appreciate it. I'm going to repeat myself here because now I might be having a stroke. You never know. Thank you.
We'll text Caroline to go check on you.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm 100% fine. Okay, I'm just doing my thing here. All right, Charlie, fantasy standings in this week in NASCAR. You want to go first with the fantasy standings from Homestead or for Rambling About Racing 2.0?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Okay, Charlie.
All right. Sitting seventh is still Matt. 5103.
I did set my lineup, but then
Woo!
Tyler Reddick wrecked. John Hunter Nemechek spun. Everything was just crashing for me.
Sixth, SMR R&D 5698. Fifth is S Blades 5770. Fourth, SMR Operations 5776. Third is Matt Camper 5846. Second, Super Sumo 32 5873. I'm still sitting first, and I feel like with 2 races to go, I extended my lead after this past weekend. Second was 5873. I extended my lead to a 61-14.
Well, I think mathematically you've got it.
I feel pretty confident at this point.
like
I've had the lead since week 1, and somehow or another have held it the whole season.
This guy.
We haven't finished the season out yet. We still got 2 more races left.
I know.
It's true.
Don't celebrate yet, because I've been around you a couple of years. Don't celebrate till the fat lady sings. So
I really do think though Charlie has it this year. I think he's mathematically got it. If I'm about to call the engraving company, go 2022 champion, Rambling About Racing Fantasy, Charlie Hercus.
You do realize we mathematically had the 2022 Spotlight Cup Light Race 1, and we didn't win.
Yeah.
Just let that sink in and twirl in your mind just a little bit. Mathematically speaking, we had that race 1.
I tell you what, I will wait until the checker flag falls at.
Oh, watch your language.
I didn't say it. I didn't say it. I didn't say it. I didn't say it.
That's it. I'm texting Caroline.
Shut up. You're just pissing me off, man. Oh, I'm just waiting until the final race.
Oh boy.
Phoenix in order to call the engraving company. How about that?
Wait till
back
tech
out on
clears.
editing.
I'll wait till tech clears.
Yeah, wait till tech clears.
That's more of a fair statement there, Austin. This week in NASCAR, October 28th, 1962, Rex White drives his Chevrolet into the lead 3 laps from the finish and nips Joe Weatherly in a frantic duel to win the Dixie 400 at Atlanta. The win is White's first on a super speedway. Weatherly wraps up his first NASCAR Grand National Championship in the season finale, and that happened October 28th, 1962. And gentlemen, that will wrap up today's episode or this week's episode of Rambling About Racing, unless you guys have anything else you want to talk about on this final thoughts.
No, good.
Okay. Thanks, Charlie, for that text. Appreciate it.
What text?
I'm not even going to say it because I can't. It's horrible.
I mean,
You
you
already said
can. You can.
Technically,
You
you
can
already
say
said
it.
it.
I can say it. I'm not going to say it.
Yeah, I mean, you already said it once.
No, I didn't.
Every time I see one fly now, I'm just going to think about it.
Austin,
Okay.
didn't he already say it once?
No, I didn't say anything. No, I didn't. I didn't say anything. It was no. Anyway, anything else before we wrap up this week's episode, guys? Thanks for tuning up. If you showed up and joined us live or joined us on your regular podcast platform, really do appreciate it. Gentlemen, anything else before we wrap up this week's episode?
Mm-mm.
Charlie?
Mm-mm.
Oh. All right, guys. Well, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this week's episode of Rambling About Racing. Thank you so much for tuning in, whether you're on your regular podcast platform, B.U.R.N.S Radio, or you joined us on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube Live. Really do appreciate you joining up. Make sure to go head over to ramblingaboutracing.com for links to all of our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube for the latest and greatest from the world of auto racing, and just to see what's going on in our lives as well. Special thanks to our partners here, Fanatics, Stand Up to Cancer, Extreme Sim Racing, for all they do, not only for us here at Rambling About Racing, for what they do for B.U.R.N.S Radio as well. For Charlie Hercus, Chuck 8384, Austin Reeves, Austin_Reeves 6, I'm Matt Beamer, NBeamer22, all of that on Twitter. Stay safe and have a good rest of the week.